Hey guys, Drudder here. It's the 21st of January 2013 and I'll be back to these nickels in a few minutes. You may have seen a recent video on another channel titled, "You are not an expert in silver and neither am I." Well, I would like to say, you are an expert in silver and so am I. Have a look at the definition of expert, a person who has a special skill or knowledge in some particular field. Military definition, and then possessing special skill or knowledge, trained by practice, skillful or skilled. This is what an expert is. You are an expert in silver if you've been paying attention at all to these videos, to the other videos on YouTube, to the silver market, to the metal itself. You can be an expert in something without having a master's degree in it. You can become an expert in something simply by having put your time and your focus onto something. You can become an expert in something. So you are probably an expert at least a few things. If you have an expertise in your workplace, if you say, for example, are a shoe shiner and you are an expert at shining shoes. So, you know, we are all experts. Now, that is not to say that we know everything, because we certainly don't. You know, I've never claimed to be an expert. I'm only claiming to be an expert in response to being told that I am not an expert. I've never said on this channel that I'm a silver expert or that I'm an expert at anything. But this is a response to being told that I am not an expert and that no one out there is an expert. I reject that notion. So I just wanted to give a message of empowerment to people and tell people that you can become an expert in something simply by possessing a special skill or knowledge in that topic, or being trained by practice in that topic, or being skillful or skilled at that topic. To have a special skill or knowledge in a particular field, you know, you are an expert in silver. That does not mean that you will make good investment decisions. That does not mean that if you buy silver it will go up the next day. That does not mean that you know everything there is to know about silver. But this is just a message to tell you that you can understand the fundamentals behind the silver market. It's not reserved for people who have master's degrees or who work at Wall Street. So in short, if you understand that physical metal is a store of intrinsic value, and if you understand that the system of fiat dollars and fractional reserve banking that we have in place is not only corruptible but corrupted and is fraudulent and doomed to fail, then you are already an expert in your field of understanding, and you are far above anyone probably in your family or in your circle of friends or perhaps on your block. You are, by definition, an expert at that topic, and this is a message of empowerment that you can take back control from the banks and from the corporations and from the government, and you can hold on to your value at home or in a safe location, and you are capable of doing that. Back to these nickels now. I just happen to have part of my nickel collection out on the ground. I do collect numismatically Canadian coins to some degree. It's something I started when I was a kid. My grandpa got me interested in it, and I've kept my collection all through the years. And I've just recently been going through it and sorting it, and I just had a bunch of stuff out, so I thought I would just show that as an interlude between the two different parts of my video. During the war years in the Second World War, we had nickels essentially made the same as pennies. It was mostly copper with a bit of zinc in it, which is what we made pennies out of until recently. And during certain years, I don't think that's one of them. This is one of them. This is chrome-plated steel, essentially steel with a chrome plating on it, so it looked a little more like nickel. But yeah, this is a steel nickel. We had to go to during the early 50s, and I think also during part of the 40s, because we were using all our nickel in tanks, because nickel makes excellent armor because it's very durable. So we make tanks out of it. And there's a few other, the Centennial here. This is 1951, which was a commemoration of the discovery of nickel, 200 years since the metal nickel, the element nickel, was discovered. And of course we don't make nickels out of nickel anymore, so you'd never see that. That's a nickel refinery on the front there, commemorating the discovery of and use of nickel. Now of course we have beautiful steel nickel coins. So they're not nickels anymore. We still call them nickels, but that's just how it goes. As the dollar becomes worth less and less, we can afford not to put the metals in it any longer and have to use steel, or now we're actually talking about going to completely cashless society and using microchips to keep track of our money, of course. Now, to actually get back to talking about silver, this is the silver chart. Each bar is 1 week, and this is going back about a year and a half. So as you can see, we started that time frame at about $30 there on the left, and we've gone up to 37 and down to 26, and we are now at 32. So basically flat in the past year and a half. And now relating this to the sort of the mood amongst silver stackers, investors, and other people who are interested in silver online, it does seem like this sort of relates to the mood of these people. It's been very flat. Well, it's been up and down, but overall it just really has been blah. And that sometimes happens during bull markets. And we can zoom out and have a look at this bull market as a whole, rather than looking at this last year and a half, which really in the long-term scheme of things is not that much time. And there it is. That's about 15 or more years of the silver market. And we have this, I think it's a 4-year trend line that we have not broken. We can draw in other lines as well if we want. But the point I wanted to make here is the 15-year chart looks pretty clear. I mean, we started off at $4. It was $4 for a long time. Then it was $5 or $6 for a while. And then it was $10, $15. And then we had that crash back to 10. And that's when my channel started, right there. And the last 4 years have been continuing to see higher prices. Of course, we haven't beaten that $50 high yet, but it looks like it will happen at some point. Now, what could happen? That could happen, or silver could go back to $4 an ounce. Things would have to change drastically for that to happen. What are the fundamentals? Why is silver doing this? Why are all commodities doing this right now? Why is gold doing that? Why are food prices doing that? The fundamentals answer that question for us. So you can assume that silver will go back to $4 an ounce if you like, but in my opinion, that is to assume that the fundamentals will reverse, and we won't be at perpetual war. We won't be printing money like there's no tomorrow. We won't be taking on new debt like there's no tomorrow. There's reasons for this move, and the reasons haven't changed. So yes, it may go back to $4 an ounce. I don't know. Neither do you. Nobody knows that. But the fundamentals have not changed, and for me, I don't see them changing anytime soon. I just think it's getting worse and worse and worse. And the factors that have pushed silver to where they are now are still in place. So if you think that's changed, let me know. Point out some examples why we have returned back to the financial principles we were at about 15 years ago, and the debt levels and so on have returned or are returning to those levels that they were at 15 years ago. And then you will have a point, and we'll talk about that. But until that happens, I will admit that it is a possibility that silver can go to $4 or $2 or $1 or a cent, depending on the value of what that cent is. But we can't assume anything from looking at this chart or from looking at the fundamentals, but all we can do is say things are still as they were when this all began and as this continued, and it hasn't changed, and we don't see them changing anytime soon. So in my case anyway, I will continue to hold physical metal that has intrinsic value.